Hey, we didn't know when the red light was going to turn on, but it's on now. So you know what to do. You're at the Golazo America YouTube channel. Hit like, hit subscribe, and let's get after it. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite Average to Good podcast. Call it what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Davies and Tony Meola, and we have a hell of a show for you today. We got some really good news on some of our players in our national team player pool, and one bit of bad news. We'll get into that in a second, but Americans abroad doing some work. We have University of Washington winning the College Cup on the men's side. Congratulations to them. We'll get into that a little bit more. Michael Bradley getting named as the Red Bulls coach. We'll get into that. Congratulations to Mikey. But first and foremost, because we're coming off a weekend, I want to know how my two guys have been doing over these last few days. Chuck, tell me about something fun from your weekend.
Well, my whole family went down sick. So
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm the lone survivor. I'm
kind of sound like you might be a little sick, to be honest.
Yeah, my immune system has been strong. So either way, I might have gotten a little sick, but not like them. They all were down, out for the count. So I'm still standing. That's where we're at right now.
All right. If you see Chuck in and around town, no high fives. Just away from across the street.
We'll see on Thursday how that works out. Then on Thursday, Chuck is around. We'll be all right.
Taking down, call it what you want, listeners. Handshaking with Chuck. Tones, how about you? Anything happening this weekend?
Yeah, I was in doing coverage in studio this weekend. So and I flew out here to California. I think I told you guys my big health checkup, my 9-month checkup is this week. So that's what I'm doing out here in California for a couple days.
Whoa. Wait.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you were out here. Which part of California are you in? Are you up by my
I'm
area?
in Manhattan Beach.
Oh, that's a lot farther away.
Yeah, and the sun doesn't come up, and it was 6:52 when the sun came up today. Does that happen here every day?
It takes a while once they move the clocks back. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. All right. So I got a story from this weekend. So as you know, I like to be a ringer at times in local men's league. I consider it a bit of a hobby. So I remember I walked out of my house this past weekend. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go do my thing. I'm going to go play. This team really needs me. They want to win this game. Like, I'm going to be the hero. And I get in on a breakaway. I'm going to skip a lot of it. I get in on a breakaway. I get absolutely run over at the top of the box. Should be an easy red card. Listen, look at this. I got this. You guys see that? Oh, my God. I still.
Oh.
You see it? Yeah.
It's a curling iron. That's a curling iron burn right there.
Hey.
That might have been a sword, a slash.
It was bleeding
Do you
all
have
over
the
the place.
flu, Jimmy?
It was a mess.
You have the flu?
No, but it hurt. It still hurts. And the referee, of course, in these games, he was about 75, maybe 80 years old. Obviously can't keep up with the play. The dude says shoulder to shoulder. I got absolutely run over. And that's my experience. So that was my weekend. And yes, I probably shouldn't go out there because I feel like I'm a target to get kicked all the time. But I can't help myself, Big Tones. You always tell me, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You had me at right in the beginning. I was in on a breakaway, and I'm like, what's he talking about? He's on a breakaway. The words have never been spoken out of your mouth.
Not since high school. But yes, that's true. I was a center back by trade, but I have these. I'm a closet box-to-box midfielder, so sometimes I've got to run in from behind to make it happen. But yeah, anyway, that's my weekend. Let's get into this. Notable performances from the Americans abroad. And listen, we're going to start with the bad news first. And I'm wearing his jersey today in solidarity. I got my Tyler Adams jersey. Wow, he took something off the toe against Manchester United. And it looks like Tyler Adams is going to be out for a while. Right now, it's reportedly being said that he's got an MCL sprain. Now, I'm not a doctor, even though I try to pretend I'm one on this show at times. That feels like what? Is that a 2-monther, 3-monther? If that's a significant MCL, any doctors in the chat? Longer, shorter, 6 to 8 weeks?
Shorter.
Okay.
Shorter.
Okay. So you're not in panic mode about this, even if it's just an MCL.
No, this is not a panic mode.
Okay.
This is if I have to have a knee injury, I will take this gladly. Type of when you have that type of reflection. Obviously, you don't want a knee injury, but if you're having a knee injury, an MCL sprain is the one to get. To be honest, because meniscus that's obviously not severe, but we're talking about 3 months maybe, or because they're probably going to have to snip it out. You're not going to replace it at this stage of your career. Then obviously the ACL, then you have the PCL. I played without a PCL throughout my career after the car accident. So I think this is bad news, but it could be much worse.
But do we know it? Are we sure yet? It's just I'm praying it's just a sprain, man. I'm praying it is because that would be, I guess, best case scenario in this scenario, right? But man, that's it's tough, man. If it's not just that, let's hope that that's the case.
Yeah, no, we actually were hearing some rumors about Tyler Adams potentially making a move to Manchester United. I don't know if it would be happening in January, most likely in the summer, but it's just a bummer with regard to just him being hurt in general, but obviously against a team that was looking to get him. I don't even know if I'd want him to go to Manchester United. What a dumpster fire that club is. All right, that's a topic for another time. So this is what his coach said, Antonee Robinson. I think it's the worst news from the game. Definitely he twisted a knee. I think it's just MCL, but we have to check and see if it's just a small sprain or something bigger. Obviously, it's not what we want. To lose a player like Tyler for us is massive, especially when you don't have Lewis Cook. Alex has to play in that holding midfield position. He's done it really well. But it's bad news for us because Tyler is massive for us. So obviously, absolutely love that his coach loves him and values him as highly as he does. But yeah, that's going to be one to watch. And obviously, we'll probably have more information for you on Thursday's show. All right, let's get into some of the positive side, though. And Gio Reyna made his third start, Bundesliga, in the Bundesliga. 3-1 loss, though, to Wolfsburg for Borussia Mönchengladbach. These are some notable performances from the weekend. Antonee Robinson, this is really probably the great news. He played a full 90 minutes. Jedi is back in a 3-2 win for Fulham versus Burnley. Serginho Dest scored an excellent assist, the game-winning assist in a 4-3 win versus Heracles this weekend. PSV made that a lot closer than they should have, but he did some great work to make sure they won that one at the end. Ricardo Pepi scored in his fourth straight appearance in all competitions for PSV in their 4-3 win as well. He had a penalty to start. I actually love that he took the penalty. I think Veerman got fouled or somebody got fouled or Till, and it wasn't actually him that got fouled, and he got the ball and scored. That was pretty cool. Then Weston McKennie, I thought he was excellent in this game, recorded 8 recoveries and was just all over the place in Juve's 1-0 win versus Bologna. Other good performances, too, that didn't make our actually, we have some more. We saw Patrick Agyemang scored 2. I missed that one at the top. He scored 2 for Derby against Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday, not the best, but he scored 1 in each half. And let's actually go to our resident number 9. Let's talk about Patrick Agyemang. Do you feel like he's still got an outside chance, Chuck, to maybe make this roster, or do you kind of see him, doesn't matter what he does at this point?
No, there's always an outside chance, but, to put it politely, Sheffield Wednesday are the worst team in the championship.
Wait. Can you?
But the left-footed finish was really good, though.
No.
Away and yeah.
Great finish. I also loved the checking too, to kind of create that space for himself as that ball came by the defender. So he took a step with his right foot to get the defender to bite, and then he opened up to create that space. And then that first touch was brilliant in the second with his left foot, bottom right corner. It's a top class goal. I don't want to take anything away from the goal, but what I am saying is that is the worst team in the league by far that he scored 2 goals against. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just the fact. Now, in terms of where he is on the depth chart, he just has to continue to produce every week and taking it game by game, because Balogun and Pepi are in a stratosphere on their own in this. He's competing with Haji Wright. He's competing with, he's ahead of Josh Sargent. He's ahead of Damian Downs.
So he's number 4 then for you.
Yes.
And Haji Wright's 3rd. So I guess he's in some ways he's an injury away from making that World Cup roster, or if he just goes on some incredible tear,
just crazy form, and
right.
Haji Wright drops off because Haji Wright hasn't picked up, the form that he had early on in the season under Frank Lampard and Coventry City.
I'm gonna reveal something in our group chat that Chuck said that Sheffield Wednesday's so bad even DC United can beat them. Which is so funny.
Taking strays right now.
DC they can sign whoever they want from the Philadelphia Union.
Are you claiming that, Chuck? Are you claiming that one or no?
He's with
what? I'm claiming that. I'm claiming that. I stand by with what I said. By the way, are we all on the same page? How dreadful DC United have been, right?
Oh yeah, we're on the same page.
We're on the same page. Now, in saying that, what does that say about Sheffield Wednesday?
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, they got their club torn apart. Yep. Yeah. Well, good on him though for getting a job. I mean, nothing he can do, right? You're there. You put in to score goals. You score goals.
Yeah.
I think last week we did our roster predictions. I think it was. He was my last man out, if you remember, because because of the emergency. Well, first I couldn't see 4 number 9s going to the World Cup, and I can't remember who I squeezed in the midfield to replace him in the end, but he was the last guy out. But he's the one thing he's got, Jimmy and Chuck, that no one else. He has a different profile than everybody else, right? So that's what he's going to have to pray on. That they're looking for somebody with his profile, with his tools that they think that they can use. So I like the fact that they're scoring goals.
Tony,
huh?
So Patrick Agyemang heard you.
He loves the show.
He said, "Okay, I'm the last cut. Let me show you."
So I throw it back to you though. Did you put him in your team?
No, I did not.
I didn't.
Jimmy, did you?
No, I didn't.
I don't remember. I mean, so we all felt the same about it, right?
Yeah.
I was the only one that admitted it. That's all at the time.
So Agyemang did start for us in June versus Turkey A. Which also note that Derby County, his team in the EFL, is currently in 12th, only 4 points out of the playoff position. So we'll see if they can get a good run going, and if he can be a main catalyst for it, then who knows? All right, I want to get back to Antonee Robinson because this is really big news. This is his first Premier League start since May 25th of 2025. So last season in the Premier League. 2 days later, he got his knee surgery, and now there's been some complications that we've heard, and it's just been a little bit slower of a recovery than everybody thought. His manager Marco Silva said, "When I decided to start with Jedi, physically I didn't have any doubts because we know the work we've been doing with him. Against Burnley, he showed that, and the stats showed that. Of course, the other things have to come with the games. Our defensive principles that you have to do every single day and will take time, even if you know them. We need Jedi to get up and down every game, so it's very important to have him back." He had a good reaction after the game yesterday. Nothing really special until now. The fitness is very good. We will see tomorrow. So obviously, that would be today. We hope that that he has no issues with his knee. There was one play, I think it was the second or third goal that Fulham had, where they're on the break, and basically 2 guys are bombing forward for Fulham, and one of them is Jedi. He makes a great run. He just keeps going. Even though somebody's on his way, he waits for him to cut inside, and he keeps going to create that little bit of space that I think draws the defender towards Jedi, which opens up the passing lane for Fulham to get a goal on the other side of the field. And these are the little details that I think Marco Silva has been missing ultimately. I think Ryan Sessegnon has been good in his place, but he's not Jedi. So very, very excited to get him back, Big Tones. Now it's just a matter of, can he get a run of games? And obviously this time of year in England, there are a lot of games in this window. So I'm very curious as to how they're going to manage his minutes. Yeah, I was surprised that he went 90, right?
Same. Yeah, but they in the statement they feel confident that the physical part of it is there. You saw in the first goal they gave away. That's maybe the other part of the statement from Marco Silva, right? Just the understanding, and because he bites to the outside and they slip a ball in between his center back and him, and they're not on the same page, but that's all just a feel, right? And he may have been taking a chance there and just got burned on that one. But it's just good to see him on the field. The guys you're throwing in here, is he the still the most indispensable national team player, not named Pulisic? You know, I would think him and Tyler are in that same level, you know, the same category of guys that we need. I know Arston's done a really good job in that position and has grown into the position and actually I think probably surprised the 3 of us in some of these games after the Gold Cup. So we have a little bit of depth, but man, I don't want to go to the World Cup without Antonee Robinson and Tyler Adams. I just don't. I just think they're too important.
Well, what's interesting is he's not played for the U.S. since November 19th, 2024. So it's been a while. Chuck, I guess what I'm most excited about when Jedi comes back into the team is just seeing him as a left wing back for us in this kind of new formation that we've been playing. I think the guy's going to absolutely cook with this new iteration of how we like to play. Obviously, he's going to have to drift back and play at left back at times, right, based on the position of the ball and the opponent and so on and so forth. But giving him that a little bit more freedom, we've seen it unlock Max Arfson, and I think it'll unlock Jedi to be even more dangerous for us in the attacking third.
Yeah, I'm surprised you also didn't pick out the pass that led to Calvin Bassey's goal.
That's true. You're right. He over to
Against
Harry
Savannah
Wilson, by the way.
and it was a phenomenal ball. So,
Good shout.
put on your coach's hat. You gotta see those things.
Sorry, just thinking about the run where he didn't get the love that he deserved on that one.
Yeah, no. Think about the positive plays that he's making.
What are you talking about? Positive.
So for me too, on top of what we've seen, is that he only had a few training sessions. Marco Silva put him in to start one and then to go 90 just on a few training sessions. That goes to show the faith, right? That he knew what Antonee Robinson could bring to the table. It was just, are you fit? Are you healthy? And then he's back into the team. I think when you talk about the back three with this U.S. men's national team and giving him a little bit more freedom to get up and down and knowing that he will protect as a left back, but you're telling him, hey, use the touchline, get as aggressive as you want, high up the pitch, being someone who's left-footed naturally, who can play those balls that are going to be out swerving away from the keeper, curling into the path of a Balogun, Pulisic, McKennie, whoever is up there. It's really going to be a bonus for us. I'm excited, and kudos to Max Arfson for working on his level at the international stage. It's a real transition, and it takes time, but to even be serviceable, I think he's come a long way. So I think Pochettino, to his credit, made sure that we're not having that conversation if one player is out, that you're done for. That the team is going to be unbalanced and no one can step up. Mm-hmm. Now he's provided depth, so the canyon is not as deep. I agree with you, Tony, that Antonee Robinson and probably Chris Richards are the two players outside of Christian, of course, that if they were to be injured, we would feel it the most.
Mm-hmm. That's a good shot. Well, speaking of Jedi, we're going to be curious to see if he plays midweek against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. That game will be on Paramount Plus Wednesday, 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you check that out alongside all the other Carabao Cup games that are happening, including today. That'll be happening on P+. There's a good look at, if you're watching us on the YouTubes, you can see Erling Haaland and Bukayo Saka, Cole Palmer, Bruno Guimaraes, and Juan Felipe Mateta. But we should have Jedi Robinson in that promo. But yeah, Carabao Cup quarterfinals happening today and tomorrow on P+. One player that I wanted to talk to as we move forward here, Big Tones, was someone we talked about yesterday in our meeting, was Weston McKennie. And I love this quote from Luciano Spalletti, the manager at Juve, right? This is just another manager he has to prove himself to after 15 managers in the last 2 years. But Spalletti said this: it's a strong person who makes a strong footballer. McKennie has this attitude, this way of meeting you halfway. Like he's saying, you ask, I'll do. He starts and becomes effective. You can tell he has faced his fears when he was young, because to become brave, you have to face what scares you. He tries plays that wouldn't normally be part of his repertoire, but he still tries them. That's incredibly high praise from Luciano Spalletti, Big Tones. And you thought he was tremendous against Bologna and you guys 1-0 win.
Yeah, I mean, he was all over the place. We were sat there, and as we were watching that game, it was, man, Weston's playing well. Man, he's what a game he's having. Like, it just kept building and building. And I know Di Gregorio, the goalkeeper, probably gets a lot of praise for what happened in the game, but as far as field players in that game, he was as good as anybody on the field. And the thing that amazes me about him, I think he had 8 interceptions in that game, which is a lot. He did it from the right side. He wasn't in the middle of the field, right? But he just has, much like Jimmy, I think you talk about Tyler Adams, like I don't know what the term you use all the time, let him go hunt or whatever the term.
He's on the hunt. He likes
he just has that in him. And that's why when we had that discussion last week about where you like to see him play, I like to see him play next to Tyler, because you get that part of it, and then we know he likes to get on the end of it. He got on the end of two plays where, if you watch the play, he was probably 70 yards from the play when it started, right? And all of a sudden, he just kind of drifts and drifts and drifts. And two crosses, one that just missed him, one the cross wasn't for him, but he's still in the box because he has that knack of getting it, knack and willingness, by the way, to get in the box, right? The willingness to make that run and know that, shit, man, if I make that run, I still got to recover, right? Because they still have another responsibility when the ball turns over. It's not just go there and wait and, okay, the ball doesn't get to me and I just hang around and I jog back. No, he's got that bite in him. And if you go beginning of the season, Tudor, talk to him about his fitness and all. So he got that part right. And Spalletti, this team, not so much yet, this Juventus side. He wants the ball on the deck and he wants to play. And he hasn't gotten it out of him yet. But if he likes Weston that much, he must think that he can do all the things that a Spalletti team will look like when he finally gets his fingerprints on it.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is when we talk about Tyler and being on the hunt, I mean, he's a ball winner, right? And I think when Weston's the same. I agree with you ultimately, Tones. But I love his on the hunt type mentality with off the ball running, that third person running. All of a sudden he's playing. I saw him playing right wing back, but he's now picking up the ball near the number 9 centrally, you know, and I think he just recognizes, if I go into this space, wow, this is going to be really dangerous for the other team. And if my teammates can see me and know that I'm available in these areas, we're going to really unlock this other defense, or at least put ourselves in a dangerous situation. I love that part of his game. Now, to your point, there is a sacrifice to that, because if the ball turns over, now he's out of position, and that's the risk you're going to take. So a little bit of high risk, high reward, but ultimately, if he finds that right balance, I mean, he's incredibly effective, Chuck.
He is. We've talked ad nauseum about Weston McKennie and all the different positions he can play, that he's a gamer. You know, we know what he brings to this midfield, to the team, in terms of his aerial duels, his work rate. I mean, Spalletti, a manager who has done so much in his career, has these type of words to say about Weston. If that doesn't give him justification, and we've seen him every year rise above the friction, which is a club maybe going in a different direction, a new manager coming into the fold, and no matter what the uncomfortable situation is, Weston McKennie rises above it. He performs. He earns his place, and then he earns the respect of the supporters and the players in the locker room every single year. Like, at some point, you're saying, okay, the controversy, the indecision, the uncertainty, it's gonna win. It's gonna drag you down. Right. You're gonna ask for a new move, a new club. Every year after year, he still figures out a way to find success. So, in saying that, do you envision him not being a starting player, a midfielder in this team, knowing all the intangibles that comes with Weston McKennie outside of the goals and the assists, which he's capable on set pieces. Yeah. He's capable of that late run out of midfield. He's capable of spraying a ball that releases a wing back, and then the goal comes from that. So
I just don't see him as one of the 6s in the box.
I think he'd be one of the 10s, right? So now, is he ahead of Tillman in your mind? Is he ahead of Reyna in your mind?
Tillman, I thought Tillman was good.
Depends how you want to play it, though. That's kind of an open question, right?
So is it a situational thing? Like, he's not a guarantee for you?
Yeah, I could potentially see that.
If you want to play those 2 10s and you want someone a little bit more defensive minded, right? Because you think Christian and the outside guys and your number 9, Balogun, whoever, then I would think he's choice number 1. But if you say, no, I want someone attack minded to complement Christian Pulisic, I don't know that he's your guy, right?
I'll say this. I'll get a jump. If against Australia, since we've already played against him, he played as a 10 recently. I could see in that game, because of how Australia likes to play, a little bit more in a low block, mid block to low block, Weston could be really effective off of the 6's shoulder. So he's more of an 8, I would say. You could still have your 2 10s, but that would give him the freedom to roam against a team that likes to sit back a little bit. Obviously, again, high risk, high reward. You might let yourself be vulnerable to potential counterattack, which is what Australia may or may not be playing for the majority of the game. Yes, at times they're going to press us high up the field, but wow, lots to get into. Of course, we can get into. All right, we're going to take our first break. We can keep this conversation going on the other side.
I gave you a tongue twister, huh, Jimmy?
You did, but apparently producer Des has produced an image for us, and I'm kind of curious as to what he has. This is me getting fouled by Nigel de Jong in the World Cup final. That's Xavi Alonso. That's like Xavi Alonso's career at Real Madrid right now. He's just, It's tough. It's a tough job. That should have been a red card, by the way. First minute of the World Cup final in 2010. But
they still won.
They still won. The referee swallowed his whistle in that one. But I guess that's me out playing in the men's league, just getting kicked all the time. All right, that's it. We're taking our first break of the show. When we get back, we're going to talk Gio Reyna. We'll keep this conversation going about Weston and Malik Tillman and everybody else, and then get into Michael Bradley and his new role with the New York Red Bulls. Keep it here.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more.
It's Gareth Bale! Ronaldo! Wonderful goal!
On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
Welcome back into the show. I'm Conrad Dino alongside Check Chasin Chuck, and Big Tones. And we're going to start here with Gio Reyna. And I think that will lead us back into kind of maybe who should be starting as one of the 10s for us in these let's just say these upcoming games in March first before we get into the World Cup itself. But I want to go with Borussia Mönchengladbach's coach, Eugene Polanski, who has now started Gio Reyna in 3 consecutive Bundesliga games. Polanski, his manager, said this: I have rarely seen a training session from Gio that I wasn't satisfied with, and I have recently seen values I hadn't seen before. We can almost replace him, like for like, with Neuhaus. This is Gio, perhaps has a slightly more attacking profile, is a bit better in the space between the lines, and isn't the same clear playmaker as Flo. He's referencing Neuhaus again. He's made extremely good runs and improved from game to game. I'm extremely happy. So this is his manager about Gio Reyna, Chuck. And yeah, that's all good. I feel like we're getting a lot of good quotes about our players this particular weekend.
It's promising. And Jimmy, to be honest, what we first hoped for Gio is just health above all else. Just be healthy. I think for him, for us, for the supporters, him dealing with injuries and setbacks have really been a large part of his career for the past 3 years. So now it's just being able to be available every match and start. That's a good foundation. That's a good base. And then these comments from the coach, these quotes, obviously that empowers you as a player. If you see your coach, okay, he's giving me, this verification that I am producing in training. I am doing what I need to be doing to gain more playing time, and that he's happy with me. Great. It's also good for his teammates to see in the locker room that there's value in what I bring to the team, that the coach, the manager is letting the players know I'm a top player and I'm getting better. I think we all knew it's about the second half of this year for Gio Reyna, or of the season coming into 2026, January to May. Can he start to produce with goals and assists and help this team climb up the table? Now, if he does that, then we're talking about Mauricio Pochettino come March saying, oh my God, I have a headache. I got a Tillman who's producing for a Leverkusen side, who's producing, who's doing really well. And he can play a number of positions in the midfield because Tillman has dropped back too and been a deep lying playmaker for Leverkusen, not just being high up. He can play both. Gio Reyna producing. We see Weston McKennie producing. Another player who could play that position is Timothy Weah, who's played as a right back, as a right wing back, as a left winger, as a right winger, has played a little bit more central. He can, bump up to play as a withdrawn forward with Balogun. He kind of gives you flexibility as well. The more flexibility, the better. But ultimately, I'm really happy that Gio Reyna is healthy. His coach sees his value to the team, and now just continue to take it week by week, match by match, and keep trying to gain a little bit further with his impact in the game.
I think what's interesting, too, in terms of timing, Big Tones, is that he's getting this run of games, being trusted as a starter before the Bundesliga hits their winter break. Now, for those that don't know, they get a little bit of rest, but then the German teams, more often than not, go to a warmer locale and then have like a kind of a mid-season preseason camp before the second half of the season in Germany kicks off again. So for him to walk into, let's say, that camp, right, as maybe the out-and-out starter, I think that's a really good sign, to your point, Chuck, that he'll be the guy that they can trust moving forward to get points. Borussia Mönchengladbach currently in 11th right now. Joe Scally didn't play this weekend due to yellow card accumulation. They ended up losing 3-1, but the goal that Mönchengladbach did score, Gio hits a nice cross in a dangerous area. I think they counted it as an own goal. but we could call it an assist because it was a hell of a finish from the Wolfsburg player. I guess I don't know where the question is in this one for you or where you want to take it with Gio Reyna, but it's going to be a hell of a competition. And the fact that we have this type of depth for the number 10 where you could put West in there. I thought Tillman was excellent again for Bayer Leverkusen. I don't know if you caught any of that game. He had a breakaway where he just pounced on someone who made a mistake. He was right on it with the trigger, didn't score on the breakaway, but put himself in a good spot. And then later in the game, he reads the pass out wide. He gets it again, and it's a catalyst for another dangerous opportunity for Leverkusen. I mean, there are all these little things that I think Tillman are doing that maybe I didn't appreciate early on, or maybe he wasn't doing it as consistently, or maybe I was like, he's playing in the Eredivisie where they can dunk on teams a lot. But for Bayer Leverkusen, where he's wearing the number 10 shirt and stepping up and being the guy, I've been really impressed with Tillman.
Yeah.
So these are good options to have. And Tim Weah I thought was good for Marseille against Monaco, right? I mean, he's getting himself in good spots. He's looking to combine with Greenwood or whoever else is around him, Aubameyang. And man, it's a good time to be our depth on the attacking side of the ball, Big Tones.
Yeah, Charlie mentions a headache for Pochettino. If this I don't care about his headache, right? Let's hope he has a headache and has choices to make right in the end. But
back to hell of a headache. Give him a migraine.
Yeah, migraine if that's what it takes.
No Advil allowed.
But just a side note for Gio Reyna, if anyone, they're playing in the same formation that Pochettino's playing in, right? Essentially. Right. So, yeah, good job. And he's playing in that number 10, but on the other side of the field where Christian plays. But anyway, that's a good sign as well. Interesting, right? I think the quote was part of, I don't see any trainings that I'm not unhappy with. Right, because that was maybe a conversation over Gio's career in some stages. You mentioned Neuhaus, who he's replacing. He's not going to be back before the last game. By the way, you know who the last game is?
Borussia Dortmund.
At Dortmund. Just before
Friday.
The break. So that's how he'll go into his Christmas break. So if he doesn't have the bit between his teeth for that one, then I guess he never will at the club level, right? So all positive things. We just want to see Gio on the field and see him playing. And it's nice to see that his manager is recognizing that maybe he does have a different profile than some of the players that you have. He will try a thing or two. Maybe that some others won't. Sometimes they're going to come off. Sometimes they're not. You got to live with all of that with players like that. But it's all positive. Malik Tillman, he's been good. Me personally, I don't like him in the deeper lying role, right? Because there's still a defensive responsibility that I think some other guys can do a better job at. And then you get some attack. Weston is the guy I'm first alluding to.
Well, depending on the opponent, right? Let's say it's a deep.
If you think you're going to have the ball, if you think that's who Australia is going to be, then that might be a chance you take in there for sure. But man, what a season he's starting to put together as well. So. Yeah, migraine. Give Pochettino a migraine. That's my new thing, Chuck. Thanks, man. I want to give Pochettino a migraine.
Yeah, I think when I watch Tillman play, he just looks very comfortable out there, and that's a sign of being confident in who he is, of course, but also the trust that he's getting from his new coach. Started with Erik ten Hag, and now it's Kasper Hjulmand, and long may that continue. All right, let's talk a little MLS news. And New Jersey native Michael Bradley has been named as the new head coach for the Red Bulls. He'll be introduced officially on January 5th. He led their second team, Red Bull's second team, to the 2025 MLS Next Pro title. He becomes only the second permanent head coach in Red Bull's history to have played for the club. The only other player to do that was Mike Petke, who served from 2012 to 2015. He's now going to replace Sandro Schwartz, who departed the club in late October. Now, they got to the final 2 years ago, Chuck. And last year just sputtered along and failed to reach the playoffs this past season. We know that it seemed like it was in the cards, fate, destiny, that Michael Bradley was going to be a coach at some point.
No one even questioned that.
Yeah, of course.
Come on.
So here we are.
As players, on the pitch, he was always, in some ways, I think as he got older, he acted like a coach while he was playing. And, you always have those players who try to organize and kind of tell you what to do.
He's captain too, right? It's part of the captain's role.
But I'm not shocked, one. Two, he's always had a tremendous knowledge base of the game. He studies video. He's been dialed in since we were kids.
He's also a coach's kid too. Anytime you're around coaches' kids, they always just have a little bit more of that the details, right? They're paying attention a little bit more to the
Yes,
details.
100%.
That's all you hear from home. I mean, even my own daughter, she's like way in on the details. She got a little bit of an advantage over the other kids.
So I think it's a no-brainer. I think in terms of a player who played for the club, is from the area,
Great
had
story.
the international experience that he's had, has worked under his dad now as an assistant coach, came back to the club to work with the Red Bulls 2 side. We saw that with Steve Cherundolo working with Vegas in preparation for the LAFC job. So it's a no-brainer, and it's exactly what I want to see. New blood in the game. Someone who's helped build the game for our country, given the opportunity. Like, I would have said the same thing for you, Jimmy, if San Jose gave you the job. I would have said the same thing for Tony if anyone in the country gave Tony the job. Because you guys have cut your teeth. You have an incredible experience. Why the hell wouldn't someone give you the opportunity to do that? We've seen it time and time again in this country where it's the same people getting different opportunities, but it's the same people. They fail here, they go here and they fail. They fail there, they go somewhere else and fail. Why go through the same names? Try, give other people opportunities, and you might be pleasantly surprised. And you don't have to go out of the country. You don't have to go find someone out of the country and who has a decent resume because they were an assistant coach somewhere under somebody and they stumbled into a job. You can give people here in this country who have had international experience the opportunity to go out and build a club. So for me, I'm thrilled for Michael Bradley. I think Michael's always been respected. I think he's going to have this hunger to be even better as a manager than he was as a player. I saw that quote that he had. And I hope he has a good staff behind him too. So I'm looking forward to seeing him get the chance. Plus, Emil Forsberg, like, he's a top player in this league.
Sure.
The only thing that I would hope for in terms of the organization is that you give them players. You can't come here and give him the opportunity to coach the New York Red Bulls and then not allow him to go out and get top level players.
There it is. That's the key, right?
Tones, before you get there, though,
Yeah.
like Chuck was singing our praises about getting a job in this country, and I just want to make sure that Chuck is in this conversation too. I'm really hoping that Boss Nation gives you a call, Chuck, because you'd be a great guy.
Boss Nation's dead, bro. It's the legacy. Come on.
No. The legacy of Boston Legacy is Boss Nation. That is the legacy.
Boss Nation.
Yeah. I love it.
No, there's too many balls in the city. So.
All right, Tones. Your thoughts as a New Jersey native, having Michael Bradley coach the Red Bulls.
Happy for him. Obviously, it's a club I follow. I played there and by the way, when Michael Bradley was there, I was there in his first game, right? And he helped us get to the playoffs by beating Chivas on the last day, a ball that was clipped in, a little header. You could tell he was a coach's kid, right? He knew everything. He knew how to, at 17 years old, he knew how to act in the dressing room because he'd been in the dressing room for 17 years at that point, and I'm not surprised by this at all. He cut his teeth at Staubach. He cut his teeth with New York Red Bull too. Like, I love the progression from him, but Chuck nailed it in the end. It's been the Red Bull story since Thierry Henry, Rafa Marquez, like that group of players. Are they going to give them the players in the end? Or is it going to be 2 years where they're middling because that's really all you can do with that team? And then you try and make a run in the playoffs a la Sandro Schwartz 2 years ago when they finished 7th place in the league, and then they make a run to the playoffs, which is great, and you get to a final and you have a chance. If this seems like the type of guy that you bring him there, you got to support him. And you know what? If it doesn't go right the first year, like, there can't be pressure on him because they're not a great team right now. It's not a great roster. They got good players. Justin Shea is coming back now. The young kid that was at at North Texas, and then he was at FC Dallas, right? I think. But anyway, that's not good. I mean, he'll be good, but it's not going to. They need players there. They got to be committed to the players at Red Bull. It's been a frustration of mine for years. Right, you got one of the biggest brands in the world, and there were moments where, if you're being honest, it seemed like they didn't care about the team in New York. In the great state of New Jersey, called New York, New Jersey, or not even New Jersey anymore. So support Michael Bradley with players, and I think he'll be fine. But there's only so much you can do in the end if you don't have enough firepower in that group. But I'm happy for him, man. He earned this now, put himself in this position, and he's going to go carve out a managerial career. I'm going to guess 20 years from now we'll talk about this in a lot of ways that, like we talked about his carear. Right.
Hey, that Metro Stars jersey was clean.
Dude, I hope. The Metro Stars, like that was one of my favorite brands in the league. I was there when they changed the Red Bull the night that we changed over the jerseys on the field. We didn't know what was going on. We had no idea like what Red Bull was doing, to be honest.
Metro Stars was such a good name.
It was such a great name, man.
Such a great name. The kits, the color, everything top. And then look at the next one he has there in the Roma. That Roma kit was fire too.
That's a sick kit right there. What is that collar? I can't see that collar there.
It's
I like
nice
a collar.
It's a nice
wow,
collar.
that is cool.
Yeah.
Roma's got good colors.
Yeah.
That is cool. Yeah.
Well, speaking of coaching jobs in MLS, there's still quite a few open vacancies. We have Kansas City, who, from what I understand, they got a new sporting director in David Lee, who I feel like they're going, or from what I'm hearing,
David Lee was with New York City football.
He was with NYCFC. He made a move to Kansas City, and I hear they're trying to kind of go the Jesper Sorensen route, right? They're going to find someone in Scandinavia who's just looking for that opportunity and seeing if they can bring them over. That's what I'm hearing right now. Obviously, that worked to great effect for Vancouver. Let's see if Kansas City can replicate that. But they might want to start hiring somebody soon because preseason starts, January 10th or 11th, from what I understand. Columbus Crew still looking to name someone. Colorado Rapids. It's reported that Matt Wells has been linked, but not official. He's been with Tottenham for a long time. He's currently on Thomas Frank's.
I hope he knows what he's getting into in Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be great.
Next.
St. Louis City is closing in on Johan Dammit, who has
it's Damit.
Damit. Sorry.
He was with Cincinnati.
He was with Cincinnati.
Again, I think a great assistant coach. And he's had his chance to lead in MLS. And from what I remember in conversations, it just not a good fit, not ready. Maybe he's ready now, but again, that's an opportunity that you could say, man, I go around the league, I go around our country. Do we have options? And there are plenty of options. Mehdi Belushi, Ante Razaf. You said David Lee,
Perry Zavagnin.
Like you can go down the list of people who are ready for an opportunity, who have done, spent years of coaching. So it's that one doesn't particularly sit well with me, right?
Yeah, Dame is ultimately how we should be saying it. So apologies. Anytime I have an opportunity to say damn it, I'm just going to jump on it, even though it's pronounced Dame. I do want to give a shout out. We haven't talked about this yet. Todd Donovan left USL club, Sacramento Republic, and now took over not all of David Lee's. He's going to be the new sporting director of NYCFC. Absolutely thrilled for Todd to put his stamp on things now that he's in MLS. Did an unbelievable job in Sacramento. Tremendous success. They got to an Open Cup final. He's getting a new stadium built. He's got a lot to be proud of in moving that club along, even though they had the rug pulled out from underneath them when they thought they were going to be an MLS club, and then that got taken away. He stuck around and made sure that was a positive experience for everybody there. So shout out to Todd. Big loss for Sacramento. Hopefully they can find somebody to fill his big shoes. Now, just one more quick thing on Wilfried Nancy, because he's taken over. Nancy, sorry. He took over at Celtic and for Martin O'Neill, who won 7 out of 8 in the interim basis when Brendan Rodgers reportedly resigned, or did resign, excuse me, but did it unexpectedly. And now he came in almost the biggest part of the season, Tones, and he lost the first one to Hearts, who are leading the Scottish Premiership right now. And then they lose to Roma at home, which, listen, Roma's cooking. I'm not surprised that happened. But then they lost to St. Mirren in one of the cups in Scotland this past weekend. He's the first Celtic manager to lose his first 3 games in charge. And they can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw that somewhere. He's getting absolutely hammered by everybody. And I don't know what happens now. Obviously, Celtic have to stick with him, but this is a club that's kind of similar.
Think about Ruben Amorim. That's all I'm going to say. He was hammered by everyone. The club just has to come out and say, we're standing by our manager, which is what Manchester United did. Now, I expect the same thing for Celtic.
Yeah, that's fair. Ruben Amorim, honestly, he kind of lost. I tried to stick with that guy, but I'm slowly stepping away from from him.
Well, you stuck with him when things were going poorly. Now things are actually looking like he wants him to look, and you're out.
Honestly,
you're gone.
I'm out, but it's just the 4-4 game kind of threw me
You got one
off.
foot out. You got one foot out.
I'm closer to being. I just I don't know how.
Jimmy contradiction, Conrad.
Okay, all right, you're a walking contradiction.
Tony, why are you laughing, Tones?
Yeah,
someone just told me a joke over here. I don't know.
Oh my God, Jimmy contradiction. All right,
no, we don't need to get into Man United.
No, listen, Celtic. It's not the end of the world. They're still within striking distance. They're 2 matches behind. They have 2 matches in hand against Hearts, who's at the top of the table. They're at 32 points. Hearts is at 38. Now, given that, they play at Dundee, so 3rd from the bottom. Then they play Aberdeen, which is a big one, but they're 6th place. And then they got at Livingston, who's bottom of the table. And then they got at Motherwell, who's 4th. So that's all a build-up until the match that matters most if you manage Celtic, and that's Rangers. So he's got 4 matches in preparation for
He's got to win all 4 of those, to be honest. I mean, that's just kind of how it is.
And he should.
He should.
This is the issue. So you bring Martin O'Neill to come back, kind of be this, let's get the foundation back, but it's more tape. We knew it was not a long-term solution. Just come back. Everyone thinks highly of Martin O'Neill for what he did with Celtic in the past. He comes in and all of a sudden changes the momentum, gets them back going in the right direction. There's this faith, again, back in the club. It's been restored. But everyone knew they were going to hire a new manager. Now, the direction Celtic, the board went is probably different from what the supporters potentially thought. So they go and they get Wilfried Nancy. And I think we all think Wilfried Nancy is a great coach.
Great.
But it's a different beast when you're talking about Celtic. It's a massive club with incredible history, with demands to win now. This is not preseason. Even though Wilfried Nancy has to learn a lot about the players and what they can do and what they're capable of. But we saw with Ruben Amorim, if you're stuck to a system that you think is best for you because you know the ins and outs of it, sometimes maybe the players that you're going into it with, trying to transition with, are not going to pick up the ideas all that well, and maybe don't have the quality in some positions that you need them to have the quality. And I think that's where he's trying to come in and say, oh my God, maybe they're not even as good as Columbus Crew, this Celtic team. And how can I play a system if some players just can't pick it up? It's going to take time regardless. And so, Jimmy, this is the coaching hat. Is there a middle ground? Do you just stick with what Martin O'Neill did, even though you don't believe it?
Yeah, I think that's what you had to do. I thought this is an interesting time for the club to hand it over to somebody new. So let's leave Wilfried Nancy out of it. Saying these are arguably our 3 biggest games of the season, Tones. And Martin O'Neill has steadied the ship. They're playing a 4-2-3-1. They won 7 out of 8. Everything seemed to be good. And then now we're going to hand it over against Hearts.
Well, he addressed that, Wilfried Nancy.
But then now he switched to a back 3, back to his system. I agree. I ultimately agree with you, Chuck, or at least the question of it. He should have just stuck with what was working at that time and then slowly morphed his philosophy in there. However, if you're assigned to me, I want to play the way that I want to play. And so there becomes that. Where's the middle ground ultimately? Sorry.
I would have loved if they said, okay, this is the guy we're hiring. I want you to come, but Martin O'Neill is still going to keep steadying this ship and moving it forward. But learn as much as you can about these players.
Right.
Even maybe you take over a training session here or there and see how they interact, get to know the guys, build that relationship before you take over. I don't know if that was even on the table, if that was on the cards, but if it wasn't in the cards, then man, you really set up Wilfried Nancy to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine that was the idea, like to set him up to fail. I do question just what you guys are talking about, the fact that he came in at the time that he did. He addressed it a couple of days back where he said, I had the chance to come in after this stretch of 3 games. So the St. Mirren Cup final would have been, coming in after that. And he said they chose not to do that. They chose to come in at the time that he did. So he understood. With regards to the formation, look, I think we've all had a chance probably to talk to Wilfried Nancy over the last couple of years at some point, right?
Yeah.
I was lucky to cover a lot of their games. I like what he stands for, how he gets his message out. I have to imagine that he thought that he could play with three in the back with the players that he had, right, in this group, and is probably quickly finding out, no, it's not it. So do you run with it? I mean, we always put your coaching hat on, right? Do you run with it right now? Do you change now and kind of admit like, hey, that was a mistake the last 10 days, right? That's a mistake I made? Or do you say, you know what? I still think what I thought when I got here. I just got to get the right guys here. It's a tricky thing for a manager when you don't win games. When you win, we all know, like, you could have a few heartaches. People can complain about your formation. I don't like three in the back. But let's face it, man. The Roma match you mentioned, Jimmy, they're so outmatched in that game. But if you get defensive performances like you did against that individual mistakes, it doesn't matter what you coach every day. Like, I go, okay, guy heads the ball in his own net somehow from that position, right? It's not what you coach, but it's a bad break. Guy gets spun twice. He loses his man. None of those things any coach in the world would ever teach you.
Yeah.
No one has ever said, hey, let the forward just spin you like a top in the box. No coach ever said that. So you could have any formation in the world, right? Yeah. Anything you want, but if you don't get those things right and your players don't get them right, you could be the best coach in the world and never going to win.
Yeah, no, good shout. Good shout. All right. On that note, we're going to take our last break of the show. When we come back, some news and notes from around the country, including University of Washington winning their first ever men's.
Hey, your former teammate, huh, Jim?
Jamie Clark,
manager
done. He played with me at the Quakes way back when. Really proud of him. All right, keep it right here. We'll get into that right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
All right, welcome back into the show. I'm Conrad alongside Chuck, Jason, Chuck, and Big Tones. And big win for the Washington Huskies last night in the final. I won it back in the day, so obviously when I see somebody went, Tones, you won a national championship as well?
Yes, sir.
So
oh God,
one of these things is not like the other. Boston College, you guys even make it to the playoffs?
Oh, come
we
on.
lost in the Sweet 16 to Indiana, and they went on to win.
All right. There's something in there.
Yeah.
Wow, he come right after you, Chuck.
Hey. What is a contradiction to do? Mr. Contradiction, he was gonna come at me at some point.
Yeah. Here we go. I think what's interesting about the University of Washington winning this title is that they lost their last 3 regular season games. So they kind of stumbled into the playoffs, not in good form, and then rattled off 6 straight wins, all of which were not at home. They won 6 away games to win the title. They beat Oregon State. What's crazy about the first game against Oregon State in Oregon is that they were down 2-1 in the 85th minute, and they ended up scoring and then winning in overtime.
That's Robbie Finley's alma mater.
Crazy. Then they beat number 5 SMU in Texas. They beat Stanford at Stanford, Palo Alto. They beat Maryland. And then I thought they were excellent against Furman. They're playing in Cary, North Carolina for the semifinals and final, which is where TST is. And I thought they were very good against Furman. And then they went up against NC State, who haven't won their own national title in any sport since Valvano did it in '83 with the men's basketball team. So there's a lot of history in this one. What's crazy, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Washington was up 2-0. When they scored the first goal, they were 12-0 when they scored the first goal this season. So that must have felt pretty good. They gave up 2 late goals. Goes 2-2, then it goes into overtime, and within a couple minutes they score. Pretty scrappy goal in overtime.
Who scored?
I think it was
Harrison Bertos. Harry.
That's right.
Good old Harry Bertos.
You know what? Actually, Harry Bertos was on Morning Footy. I don't know if we have. Do we have that clip, Des? Can we roll that clip?
Dude,
you had to win on the road. You had to
defeat seeded teams. The final was essentially an away game with all of those fans from NC State. They're in their backyard. What did that take to quiet the noise? What did that take to win on the road like that from, where you started at the beginning of this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we had to do it so many times. I think last night it was like, at that point it was second nature. We already had the practice with Maryland and Stanford and all that, and Oregon State. And I don't know. It just like we kind of got on a roll, and we kind of started almost like feeding into the crowd's energy of like them against us. And it almost just gave us more fuel to the fire, and we just got used to it. And at the end of the day, we were really happy NC State won, because we were like more excited to play an away game. We wanted all those fans there. It makes it just more fun just to beat them in front of their home fans. Yeah.
Woo! By the way, that wasn't Bertos. That wasn't my guy. But watching that College Cup, because it was in Carolina and NC State had all their fans there, the atmosphere was incredible. I was all in it.
Yeah.
But Harry Bertos went to my high school, my alma mater, Brooks School. So shout out to Harry Bertos. By the way, we can get him on Thursday's show. He said he'll happily come on. But I was also impressed with some of the level, the quality, both on NC State and the left back for NC State. And the Richie Amon, who's from New Hampshire, the NC State coach Mark Hubbard is from New Hampshire. So there was a number of New Englanders involved in this final, but I thought NC State, I thought they were going to win this game given how they played the semifinal. I thought they moved the ball a little bit better than Washington, but Washington were very resilient and their defensive structure was strong. Tell us about Jamie Clark, Jimmy.
Yeah, so Jamie Clark, his dad is Bobby Clark. And Bobby
Clark,
he
recruited me when he was at Notre Dame.
Yeah,
okay.
So Bobby Clark actually won the title in 2013 with Notre Dame. So father-son combo here.
Great guy, man.
Bobby Clark's amazing. The story about Bobby Clark is that he played goalkeeper for Aberdeen when Sir Alex Ferguson was the coach of Aberdeen. So he's tight with Sir Alex Ferguson. And Bobby Clark was coaching Stanford when I was with the Quakes. And Jamie Clark got drafted from Stanford to play for us. So I've known Jamie for a really long time.
If I knew that, maybe I would have gone to Notre Dame instead of Boston College.
Yeah. Hey, Bobby Clark's a hell of a coach, and so is Jamie. Another coach's son, right? Just knew the game, knew the details of the game, was passionate about coaching and teaching. Both of those guys have done a tremendous service for a lot of players in this country, and huge fans of both of them. So yeah, Jamie Clark, his first ever national title. They were in the final in 2021 and lost to Clemson 2-0. So to have some redemption, and I'm sure he was maybe needed to change his pants after they dropped the 2-0 lead with 20 minutes left to go, and thinking maybe this isn't going to happen for me. But they, to your point, had that resiliency to find a way to make it happen, and it really speaks volumes that they won 6 games away from home. That is truly remarkable and speaks about the quality and attitude and mentality of that group, which is being led by Jamie Clark. So I thought it was a nice advertisement as well, Tones, for the college game. It was a really entertaining. The quality I thought was high, and I'm excited, especially now that we're having this conversation about changing the college season so that these guys can get even more games and more reps before they become professionals. If that's
so cool to watch, man. Really cool. But I was just trying to think, didn't we have the kid last year who scored the game winner for Vermont? Didn't we have him on our show, or was that morning footy? Like if that's a tradition, we got to get him on. Then we got to
get him on here. By the way, were you impressed with like the American kid in the College Cup semifinals, finals? Because
the winger kid, the wide kid, that one.
Yeah, so Richie Amon is from New Hampshire. You got the Tag Healy, the 10 for NC State, New Hampshire.
He scored a good goal.
Harry Bertos is from Massachusetts. Zach Ramsey for Washington, good little defensive midfielder, kind of box to box. I think he scored the first goal for Washington. But everything that I've heard over the course of the past 4 years or so is that the collegiate game has gone very foreign, right? You're getting a lot of Europeans who are older in age, who kind of fell through the system, and now they're coming to try and get a full ride scholarship and make their way into MLS or USL. But what I saw over the course of these 2 games is that there's quality American kids that have, shown that they are potentially ready for the next step.
Yeah, I think something to be noted about Bobby Clark and Jamie. Bobby Clark coached Dartmouth for a long time, and I believe Dartmouth is in New Hampshire, correct? So I feel like they have a lot of relationships in that area because, I mean, you're naming a lot of players from that were key.
Seacoast is the club in New Hampshire, right? It's the biggest club. Paul Willis is the founder. He was my coach. And so when I was coming up, Tony Lepore, who you both know, coached at Seacoast. He played for the New Hampshire Phantoms, which is essentially like it was the A-League. It's like a USL team out of New Hampshire. So Mark Hubbard played for Seacoast. We both got inducted into the Seacoast Hall of Fame at the same time. So that's the first time we had a real conversation. He left UNH, took over at NC State, and has been incredible. So now you're having coaches going back to that New England area to
find talent.
Talent. There's a lot of talent there. And the Revs Academy have, I'd say, over the past 4 years or so, really since Bruce came over to take over at the Revs, they've really done a good job of cultivating the talent in New England. And now I think we're starting to see more MLS Next Academies come to pick the talent up in New England.
All right. Well, fun fact about Harry Burdos, he's already been drafted by San Diego FC back in the 2025 Super Draft, but returned to school. But San Diego obviously has his MLS rights. So we'll see if that changes moving forward. Yeah, that'd be a great environment for him to go to and play for Mikey Varas, who did a hell of a job with San Diego FC in year one. All right, a couple pictures before we let everybody go here. So if you're listening on the podcast, you got to go over to our YouTube channel, Gloss America, and watch this part of it. The first one is Tony and Michael Bradley with the Metro Stars. Look at those baggy shorts.
Wow.
Tones.
So you know what this is?
Wow, Tim Ward. Wow.
Tim Ward, Jason Hernandez.
Jason Hernandez. Yeah, wow.
Wait,
who's
to the left of Michael Bradley?
To the left, that's Mark Lisi.
Mark Lisi.
Mark Lisi.
That's a throwback name.
Yeah. So this is when they announced the stadium would be in Harrison, New Jersey.
Wow.
That you can see the sign behind it. We did it at the public library. This is to announce it.
Just really quick, Jason Hernandez, has he got a little sweat stain in his crotch area? Is that just a shadow? Is that a shadow?
No, that's not a shadow.
I mean, he might have been working. He might have been doing some juggling or something or whatever. But
hey, Ibis, you found this?
Insane.
There has to be a U20 or U18 national team photo of me and Michael Bradley.
Tones, do you have like one of those pocket protectors that's holding the phone on your waist belt there? What's happening?
That's,
wow. He's got a construction job.
Yeah, I'm on my way to work right now.
Hey, that was MLS 1.0. You had to have two jobs. You know, you had to have two jobs. Tones has got the phone clip.
Chuck, you like that, huh? Oh man,
the cell phone clip. Oh wow,
Chuck, that might even be a beeper.
It might be.
No, I can see that antenna from here. That's a cell phone.
The antenna where you pulled it out.
Yeah. You got the antenna on that thing.
I love it. All right, I think we have one more photo, if I'm not mistaken. It is the Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. That's a good one.
With Antonee Robinson as Luke Skywalker. Absolutely love it.
Pochettino is Yoda. Okay.
Hey, Chris Richards is Princess Leia. Got time for that. Christian Pulisic is Han Solo. That is hilarious. All right, that's it. We're going to call it a show. Thank you for hanging out with us as always. We want to offer a big good luck to Big Tones. We know that you're in Manhattan Beach getting checked up, so hopefully that goes well. And we'll see everybody on Thursday. As a reminder, you can catch all the Carabao Cup games on Paramount Plus, including our very own Jedi Robinson, who's playing for Fulham against Newcastle. That'll be on Wednesday. And that's it. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you on Thursday. Later.